Then I suddenly had this like terrible pain. And it turned out like I had a stomach ulcer and it perforated. So it was like a life-threatening medical emergency.
This is what happened when Anna's breakthrough innovation meets extraordinary pressure. She achieved what many thought was impossible, teaching AI to design computer chips faster and better than human experts.
I couldn't believe it. I guess the whole process took like 7 months.
7
So it was
months.
like a very intense review process.
Her work would be published in Nature, one of science's most prestigious journals. But revolutionary science comes with a price. Multiple investigations will scrutinize every detail.
They wanted to talk to me in like 5 minutes, asking me like over and over again, did you like cherry pick the examples in your paper?
After extensive review, her work was completely vindicated. Today, Anna's AlphaChip powers Google's data centers worldwide. But what she sees coming next.
If you had like a huge number of super intelligent people, like, and they spent their time looking at tons of data, what could they do? It's like limitless. I'm always excited about anything that's like recursive and self-improving. So of course I'm excited about like building, like chips or quantum chips or things like that, right? Or like better code generation, all of those things that have this recursive self-improving property.
The full story of breakthrough innovation, personal resilience, and the future of artificial intelligence. Meet Anna Goldie, Senior Staff Research Scientist at Google DeepMind and co-lead of AlphaChip, the breakthrough project that applied reinforcement learning to chip design and was featured on the cover of Nature. With 11 years at Google Brain and a recent stint as a member of technical staff at Anthropic, Anna has been at the forefront of AI research spanning systems, language, and large-scale infrastructure. She holds a PhD in computer science from Stanford, dual bachelor's degrees in computer science and linguistics from MIT, and was honored on MIT's 35 Under 35 list. From developing dialogue systems as a student to building superhuman AI-generated chip layouts now running in Google data centers. Anna's journey reflects both scientific rigor and visionary ambition. In part 1, we traced Anna Goldie's journey from a spark of curiosity at MIT to pioneering research at Google Brain, where her collaboration on AlphaChip bridged software and hardware in a groundbreaking way. In this second part of our conversation, Anna Goldie shares what it took to turn skepticism into success. Many believed AlphaChip was impossible, but her team proved them wrong, delivering chip layouts now powering Google's TPUs, where a single failure could cost billions. She reflects on publishing in Nature, navigating years of scrutiny, and standing firm through false allegations that were later disproven. Anna also looks back at her time at Anthropic during the rise of large language models and her return to Google to help shape Gemini at DeepMind. Looking ahead, she envisions AI extending beyond software into hardware, biology, and education. Domains where recursive self-improvement could redefine what's possible. Let us get started.
You briefly mentioned about it. I think another topic that is interesting to the audience is that oftentimes when you do the research and groundbreaking research like this, there would be skepticism on this. Like, did you face skepticism internally in Google or in the research community?
I mean, I think a lot of people like told me and Azalia up front, like, this is impossible. Like, you cannot do this. Like, I think a lot of people were burned on, prior approaches. Maybe it's kind of like that experience, like, I built rule-based dialogue systems and I think I could tell it was hopeless, right? So maybe other people had similar experiences where they worked on previous paradigms in the space. Ultimately, it doesn't actually work in practice, right? You can't actually build a chip with some of these previous approaches and no one has. So maybe that's part of why they would feel discouraged, right? And they wouldn't want me to suffer the same pain, right? And I think there's a separate thread, which is just the skepticism of say the actual TPU team. These are people, they're responsible for building the real chip. If anything goes wrong, it costs the company $100 million, and they're responsible for that. They should be conservative, right? So we should present evidence and data and show them that these placements are actually better on the metrics they care about. I feel like that just makes sense, right?
Yeah, that would make sense. Especially for them, it's a very high-stakes situation. So for them, they need to evaluate it very thoroughly. And you did amazing work of the AlphaChip, and later eventually leads a Nature publication, which is great. And what was the experience that you had when you first heard that your publication was accepted by Nature?
I mean, I couldn't believe it. I guess the whole process, I think the reviews took 7 months. 7 months? So it was a very intense review process.
So when was that, the review happened?
So it was when did we submit? So we put the paper on archive in April 2020, I think.
April 2020.
And then it got a lot of interest for sure. And then I think we then were focused on like getting our first production landing in TPU. So our layouts were actually like taped out for the first time, and that was kind of our focus. And then we were like, okay, let's like submit this to an actual like journal. And so we obviously like, you know, Nature is like I seriously admire them, but I also thought they're interdisciplinary. Like it's actually hard to find a venue where there would be reviewers who are experts in both chip design and machine learning, right?
That's actually an interesting point because traditional people wouldn't publish this type of paper in Nature. Yeah. How did you decide are you going to submit to Nature?
I think I thought like, where could I actually get peer reviewers who could evaluate the work? Because if I submit to NeurIPS, they won't know about chip design. If I submit to DAC, they won't know about machine learning. And also like, I think it was like the first time AI was like actually used in chip design. So it does have like broad like interest, right? Potentially.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know if I really thought it would be accepted to Nature, right? I thought, you know, maybe we get some interesting reviews that are helpful and see what happens.
And you just like
and then maybe we submit to somewhere else or something, right? Maybe that's fine.
Wow, yeah. And then you succeed. Nature accepted. And what was your, were you super excited? What did you do when you heard that you get accepted by Nature? Did you celebrate, had a great dinner?
Yeah, I think like, Azalia and I got dinner or something. Like, I mean, I was super happy. I think, I guess I don't know. I knew that like there would be people who would like question the work or whatever, right? But
yeah, I think you mentioned about that when you get things published on Nature, everyone's looking at that, so it's going to be scrutinized.
I mean, it was already everyone was looking at it from before, actually.
Before that, I think when you publish in the archive paper, it started to become
there's like significant news coverage
for that as well.
So I don't think it mattered that much, if that makes sense. To me, it was like the most high quality review process like I've ever been through, like extremely detailed, and like the reviews are available online. It's like
it's very
intense. Like
I know that after your work become famous and many media started to cover this, it also incurred some controversial about your research. Can you tell us more about what is context on that? Like, what is the comments you get about the research?
I think there was like a couple threads. So like, I think the root cause actually, which is strange, is that Azalia and I, we started this project, and then I think it was like August 2018 or something, like maybe like 6 months into our project. We had some like interesting results. We were co-leading the project. We were approached by this colleague, and he asked like if he could just take over the project, like if we had a lead or a manager. And Azalia said, you know, Anna and I are co-leading this project. Like, we're happy. We like our manager. Like, you know, no thanks. Like, we could collaborate or something if you want. And then this person just like started doing everything he could to shut down the project. This was a little, I think, unusual, but I think that part of why it was like, it went on for so long is because it was unusual, right? Because like, I think at least I always assume that another colleague at Google is like a well-meaning person, like intelligent and honest, right? And I think that's like the right starting point assumption, and that creates a good culture. But like this person basically just started like spreading rumors about like that, you know, we're making up our results, or like this project should be shut down, like try to explain like, oh, we shouldn't test this method in production because we already know it won't work, because methods like this never work. No research methods ever work in production. You should reassign all of the resources to my team, or those kind of things, right? So I think that was the most difficult part, actually, right? Is like someone trying to shut down the project while we were doing it.
I can imagine that's a very hard, difficult moment. And as you are navigating these situations, like the conflict with other colleagues who in Google on these projects, how did you navigate through it? How did you, like, have you ever in any point you think about abandoning the project?
I mean, I remember like I had spoken to this person like only a handful of times, but we had one conversation and his only question was just, he's like, under what conditions will you shut down the project? What is your drop dead date? How could you ever be convinced to abandon this project? And this was like early in the project when we had promising results. Like I mean, I think to me, like I would abandon the project if I thought empirically it didn't work well, right? Otherwise I wouldn't, right? Because like it just doesn't make sense. This is like clearly something that can be very high impact, and we're getting traction. Like on the metrics that chip designers use, we were outperforming the team and like creating value for the company. So it just didn't make sense to shut down the project, right? Just because this person wishes that they did it instead isn't a good enough reason, right?
I think you did a great thing. A lot of the conflict in terms of like how to make the decision at the end of the day is just depends on whether there is a promising results from the project.
Exactly, data, right? And I think that was what made me realize eventually, because like for the first year or something of this, I thought, maybe it's like a misunderstanding, right? I haven't, like this person wasn't involved in the project. They didn't attend any of our meetings, but they thought maybe they haven't seen the data yet or they're confused about something, right? So I just need to communicate better, show more results. I think after a year, I was like, this is not about data. Right? Like,
at what point do you realize that the best way is just disengage with this person, just focus on...
we weren't engaged in the first place, so that was it was like all behind my back, right? Like some person I used to collaborate with suddenly becomes cold. I don't know why. And then, it turns out they just talked to this guy and he told them something crazy that I've never heard of or imagined before, right? Or like my manager, like he goes to them and tells them something, right? Like someone I might want to, or like some customer, right?
I imagine that would be a very frustrating experience for you.
It's scary, right? Like
it's scary,
Or it's something I never imagined, right?
Did you seek for help? So this whole process is?
I think after a year, I thought, I need help, right?
And I wonder, like, did you get help to support you to move the project forward?
I think so. I eventually I did report it to HR because it's just basically false rumors, right? And they investigated for 6 months and they found that he was, in fact, making baseless allegations that had no, and that he admitted to them. He had no evidence.
So that was an internal investigation, and then
so they gave him a written warning. He continued for 1.5 years, and then they terminated him for continuing the same behavior. And then he went to the New York Times and he said that he was terminated for raising concerns about our work. So yeah.
Wow. So he went to New York Times to talk about the thing.
He also emailed Sundar. He emailed the board of directors.
Did you ever later talk to this person again?
No, I mean, no. He has no involvement in the project, right?
But
it's very surreal, right? Because on the one hand, we're building, chips are being manufactured and deployed in Google data centers all over the world. On the other hand, this guy is saying that we're just making up our results and emailing the Sundar about that.
Wow.
Wow. It's extremely strange, right?
Yeah.
I made me feel like I was going crazy, right?
And this must be such a difficult moment and process as you are working hard on the project, and there's a lot of distractions happening, allegations happening from other people. And how did you maintain your inner peace and strength, just laser focus on the move forward and to deliver, to create amazing technology? I
mean, I think we had a great, obviously I had Azalia, right? And she's just the best partner. And so I wasn't alone in it. And then I also had an amazing team, and it's we're all working together, running experiments, and there is a ground truth, reality. I think that helps, right? There is a physical reality here.
Exactly,
there are real chips. I think that helped a lot. At the same time, I mean, it was really difficult. So eventually, after 3 years of this, Google makes an independent committee to look into this, right? Because there's this disagreement. Let's get to the bottom of it. So they took experts in chip design and machine learning from outside of either of our management chains. They create this committee. They're going to look into, what this guy's saying, what we said. And I remember they had some IC member of this committee like reach out. I think I was like taking a shower and it was like cold and like they wanted to talk to me in like 5 minutes. I like go on to this video chat. It's like in the middle of COVID, of course. And then this guy was just like asking me like over and over again, like, did you like cherry pick the examples basically in your paper? And I was like, no, you reported all of the results that we, and then he would like ask the same question in a different way. And it was extremely like disturbing, right? Like, where is this even coming from? And I remember like, I went to lunch afterwards and I suddenly had this like terrible pain. And it turned out like I had a stomach ulcer and it perforated. So it was like a life-threatening like medical emergency, like with like a 25% like mortality rate. Like so it's like like the level of stress was just
that must be such a difficult moment for you.
But it's really like I don't know. To me, my like integrity is everything, right? I don't even I don't care about like any paper.
I think for researchers, like the reputation, the integrity is the most important thing. Yeah.
So like just even the idea of that was like horrifying, right? And then after like 3-4 months, this committee determined that his claims were not founded, that our paper was entirely sound. A different team reproduced our results on our original data set. So like our work was upheld, but it's like just going through that was just
I think I'm very sorry for like all the experience you have been through. I think for researchers being through this like whole processes, being asked whether you have been, it must be such a painful experiences for you as well. And did you need time to like recover from the whole experiences after you went through it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it took a long time to recover. I mean, the part of it is that it continued, right? So, this, once there's like a New York Times article about like, raising questions about your work, that it's not the end of it, right? That's like the beginning. Eventually it triggered Nature to investigate. And Nature spent 18 months to look into it. And then they also found that our work was sound. It was just, it drags it on.
They published a second paper to publish the results after evaluate and verify all your results, right?
Basically, they did an 18-month like post-publication review. We did a second peer review process. We ran new experiments with like hundreds of pages of scientific discourse. And at the end, they found that our work was entirely sound, upheld all of our results and claims, and they published an addendum to indicate this, right? Or they let us publish it.
Yeah.
So like, that's great. And like, I don't think there's anything that would be more helpful than like a third party, like who's like impartial and with that level of scientific rigor, like looking into it. But it was extremely costly, right?
Exactly.
It was like 30, 40 hours a week for like a very long period of time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And like, I haven't heard a paper has been like verified with so rigorous by so many like parties, like Google internal investigations, Nature published second paper.
We're used in 4 generations of TPU. Each generation, more of the chip, more wire length improvement, data center TPUs, other chips at Alphabet I can't talk about. Other companies have adopted it. We open sourced our code. Like it's at some point, it's like almost like how much more evidence can you possibly provide for your claims, right?
Yeah. And exactly. Yeah. I think this process is a lot of, it will slow down innovations as well. It's causing like such a lactive experience for the researchers who are involved on this. Do you think what is causing, like, is there any systematic reason that is causing this? This whole process it feels like takes 3 years more than,
I think it's a bitter lesson, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the previous, like, I thought it was actually going to be like physical designers who would object, like people whose jobs were threatened. That's not who was actually like objecting. It was people who developed methods in the previous paradigm. And like, it's just something very painful of like, you develop this method, you like pour your soul into it, all of your like human brilliance, your domain expertise. And then actually like some people come from outside the field and, they have this method that can learn from data and like leverage compute to do better. And it makes you feel like everything you did was worthless or something like that, right? It's like hard to accept.
Did anyone come to say sorry to you for the whole stress you went through this whole processes?
I remember so another challenge or complexity was that, because this guy had gone to Sundar to make these claims, Sundar was Jeff Dean's manager. And so he was saying, Jeff is somehow involved in this. And so Jeff was SVP of all of Google research.
Yeah,
but he was our sort of lowest common ancestor in the org chart. He should have been normally he would be the one to adjudicate, but he couldn't, right? Because he would be seen as being biased. So he kind of had recused himself, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why it took so long to deal with. But he did apologize to me afterwards. He was like, I should have helped.
Yeah. Sorry that you need to be through these processes. And that's also one of the reason we build this podcast is the platform for everyone to share their own experiences. I think a lot of people heard about AlphaChip, but they haven't heard about the journey you have been through and how difficult and hard been through the processes to make it happen and also prove yourself, which is totally unnecessary from the beginning, but you have to went through this whole journey. What would be your message now that being through the whole journey and lengthy and difficult process? What would be your message to our audiences or to any new people who will be interested in doing research similar to you? What would be your message to them?
I guess I would say maybe the one thing I wish I did differently was I think I wish I'd been louder sooner, if that makes sense. So say when I'm having this conflict with someone who wanted to shut down the project, we would show over and over again that the things he said weren't true, but we would do it quietly, right? Because we didn't want to embarrass him or antagonize him. We thought maybe, it's just so obvious that the thing he said wasn't true that he'll quietly back away and it'll be the end of it. And then that wasn't true over and over again. If I had been more confrontational, then maybe it could have shut this whole thing down much sooner. Or maybe it would have blown up and I would have assumed that it was because I was being confrontational. So it's hard to really know, right?
But I think you mentioned about a great point. It's not being confrontational. It's about having your voice.
Speaking up, right?
Speaking up.
Yeah.
That will
there's
help.
some balance, but for example, finally, Azalia, Jeff, and we wrote this paper called That Chip Has Sailed, where we just expressed our sort of technical response to all of this. And I just wish we just did it sooner, right?
Right.
I think it actually helped, but
yeah.
And I certainly felt better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what lesson to some extent, right? But
yeah. And I also know that after later you moved to Anthropic, was it related to the whole experience on this?
I think to some extent I needed a break from this, right? Azalia and I were leading this team on machine learning for systems. And we went through this horrible experience for 3 years. And I think maybe after a year of it, I think I needed a break, but I couldn't stop because I couldn't let down my team, right? I knew they wouldn't be safe. If I were to leave, then they would be left to deal with this, right? And I couldn't do that. So, but, once Google looked into the matter and they came to this conclusion and it was clear, I felt like maybe I could step away and it was the team would be okay and they would live on. And they did, right? Azalia and we set up leadership for the team and, they're still doing great work now. Actually, they've continued to make progress. Yeah,
it's great that you take care of the team.
Yeah, I care about that a lot. And because they're really great people there and they didn't deserve to deal I didn't want anyone to deal with what we dealt with. I'll say that.
Yeah, and glad that you finally just move on from that journey, and then you move to Anthropic. When did you join Anthropic?
2022.
2022.
So it was August 2022. So it was before ChatGPT. It was a really exciting time. It was I think this is silly of me, but I think I somehow thought that if I left Google, that it would de-antagonize this person or whatever, and that they would just leave me alone and I could just move on with my life. But that wasn't true, right?
Yeah.
It transcended organization or affiliation. So
I can imagine how hard it's and also how the change of the mood, in the day you work on the most exciting project and in the evening You didn't look at what's going on.
Or like getting journalists are reaching out to me asking me, oh my God, so they spread rumors that I was like terminated by Google and that's why I was at Anthropic.
So did you?
So I had journalists asking me like, oh, you were
Did you learn how to deal with journalists and lawyers in the trial processes?
Yeah, I learned a lot about that, which is so weird, right? Maybe that's like the one upside of this is like, I got to I think the cool thing I learned was that like, you know, like as a scientist, I care about like evidence, right?
Right.
The same thing for lawyers and the same thing for journalists, right? So I think fundamentally we're not that different as, you know, professionals, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So I like now I know what, you know, on the record means or those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
But it's like really stressful, especially if they're like, asking if I was like terminated from Google. And it's just great. Like Google tried so hard to retain me. Like it's just not.
Let's talk more about this ones that you're more excited about LM. So you work on the large language models. And what were you doing when you heard about the ChatGPT moment? Like everyone is kind of, oh, ChatGPT is growing very fast. Were you expecting that?
I mean, the funny part was like, you know, at Anthropic, like we considered releasing Claude in like 2022, like fall. And then, you know, the leadership thought if we release Claude, then people are going to realize, this is before ChatGPT, right?
Right.
People are going to realize that like this, like large language models are really powerful and people are going to invest more and progress is going to happen faster. And then, I don't know, maybe it's going to bring about something like, you know, the end of the world or something like that, right? So we shouldn't do it. And then of course, OpenAI heard that we were thinking about it. So then they released ChatGPT, right?
Interesting. I didn't know this stories about that.
Yeah.
I think I tried a version of the early version of Claude. I'm the beta tester for both sides. I was also building the LM back then. And Claude has like this amazing technology. And also even like after not like the coding, basically the Claude model, the Anthropic model is powering all this AI coding tool like cursors and Windsurf. But Anthropic seems to always be very, very conservative about rolling the product. And
they're very concerned with AI safety, right?
Safety, yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of this interesting, like, cognitive dissonance, which I feel like is actually just intrinsic, right? So their mission is like, you know, to build safe AI systems or do meaningful AI safety research. You can only do that if you're on the frontier. Being on the frontier requires like enormous capital. It also requires you to build potentially unsafe AI systems. And then the other objective is to have a seat at the table. So if there's some discussion in Washington, D.C., they want to be invited to that so they can influence policy. And, you know, if they have like a prominent AI agent, maybe they can lead by example by being safer in their however they operate, right? So that all makes sense, but there's something strange about it, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And this like has some tensions between the two. And how this tensions is resolved systematically in the Anthropic.
I mean, it was a kind of just an odd feeling, right? Like I remember like we raised money for the first time, like I think it was from Google actually. And I was like, yay! And then Dario was like, no, we should be sad about this.
What are the other fun stories about Dario? He seems to be a very cool person. Yeah.
He's a very interesting person.
Yeah.
I think I heard that like when he was like, I think a postdoc at Stanford, he would like donate substantial amounts of his like stipend, like they don't make very much
stipend
just to like, you know, to charitable causes because I mean I feel like the co-founders are all very like philanthropic, which I really admire. So they didn't
do this for money?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But then they still need money in order to train the model. So it's just this odd.
And then after you work for a year for Anthropic, and then you decided to come back to Google. What made you decide to come back?
I mean, I think I actually told Anthropic leadership up front that maybe I wanted like to spend like 6 to 12 months somewhere else, but that I would potentially return to Google after that. So it was kind of the default plan. I think I always felt at home at Google, I would say.
There's like a certain vibe, like Googly.
I think I'm a Googly person,
Yeah, tell us more about what is your current project at Google, what they're working on.
I work on like, you know, post-training for Gemini.
Post-training for
Gemini?
So
I do RL, like somehow I managed to marry all of my interests, right? Because I'm working on a large language model, but I'm also doing RL, say multi-step reasoning, tool use.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So from your experience of from your perspective, the Gemini, how do you think that the Gemini's future will look like? What is the key thing that you are paying attention in terms of improving Gemini's capability?
I mean, I guess in terms of the landscape, I remember people laughing, when I was at Anthropic, people were laughing at Google a bit, right? They thought we're so slow or something and I was like, this seems dangerous to laugh at Google, because I feel like Google has all the ingredients, right? They have brilliant researchers, Transformer came out of Google Brain, and then there's top-notch engineering infrastructure, tons of compute and data, and tons of surface areas to deploy on. So it seemed why wouldn't Google be successful, right? Organizationally, maybe there's a certain inertia, but
I actually really like the Gemini models. What happened? How this Google can turn around so fast? Any inside news from how this thing happened? Yeah.
I mean, the other historical thing was that say there was this project Mina, where someone in Google Brain Noam Shazier and they trained a model, a large scale model, and Google wouldn't let them release it, right? So that's part of the story here, right? Is that Google did have LLMs, but they were journalists are just looking to just take Google down, right? So they can't take any risks.
Google has been super cautious. I think a lot of audience doesn't know this histories.
Mina, Lambda, Bard.
There's tons of models that was not
released, right? And that's what the genesis of character was, that Google wouldn't let Daniel and Noam release Mina, so then they said, well, we'll leave if not, and then they did. So, and then I guess they got reabsorbed.
Acquired them back. And even the time when I left was still the policy. Most of the research about Converac or this chatbot was not published. Basically just died internally, even if the technology was very cool.
It was hard to launch, right?
Yeah. When this whole thing changed?
I mean, I think ChatGPT changes the equation, right? Because basically once OpenAI releases a model and they don't get destroyed by the media, Google can and must do so, right? So that changes
That's interesting.
But then in terms of why is Gemini so much better? Your question, I think a lot of it is scaling up RL post-training and getting certain things right. But also maybe this full stack advantage that Google has, right? Google made this bet on building its own custom AI accelerators, TPUs. Now it's reaping the advantages of that. I think it's cool that Gemini is on top of all these leaderboards, but what's even more cool is this Pareto optimal curve of capability versus cost, right? Where Google, Gemini dominates on that.
I love how the dots are connected, because all the Gemini flash model, one of the reasons why everyone love it is inference speed is almost 2 to 3x than the other models on that. I heard it's because of GPU.
GPU or?
TPU, TPU. Maybe designed by the RL from the GPU. So from your perspective, what would be the areas Google will pouring resources to improve Gemini?
I mean, I think maybe I'm biased, but I think scaling up RL post training, also data. So synthetic data, high quality synthetic data, using more verifiable rewards. Making RL more stable so you can train for longer, right?
Yeah. I do have a lot of recent discussion about the new scaling law. The traditional scaling law is more a pre-training scaling.
That's right.
From your imagination, if fast forward 5 years, what type of the new model will look like? What new capability would you create?
I mean, I guess this is one of those odd, Google Brain had so many disparate projects, and then everyone's now working on similar things to build one monolithic model because you have to pull your compute resources. But then as you make this model more capable, the potential applications explode, right? So if you can apply it to various, maybe you could, detect rare cancers or come up with new drugs, or
so
climate change, or
a lot of applications on top of.
Or any. Super intelligence, right? What can you do? What could if you had a huge number of super intelligent people, and they spent their time looking at tons of data, what could they do, right? It's limitless, right?
Yeah. So what would be the 3 most exciting applications?
I mean, to me, of course, I'm always excited about anything that's like recursive and self-improving. So of course I'm excited about like building, like chips or quantum chips or things like that, right? Or like better code generation, all of those things that have this recursive self-improving property. I think I'm also interested in, say, biological applications, like, because that's like a really interesting and complex system that we don't really understand, but has major implications for human health and for the environment, right? I don't know what the third one would be. Maybe education or something, right? Because like, I don't think we have to become dumber because models are doing things. Maybe we could like more deeply understand concepts because we have like super intelligent tutors that can help us reach some new levels of understanding of whatever we're interested in.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm also super excited about those applications will have a huge impact on society. And you have an amazing history as researchers. Backward from 2004, you work on dialogue system. Now you work on Gemini with a post-training. It's 21 years of experience. Now that you reflect all like 21 for experience, what is your biggest takeaway and what would be your suggestion for newer generation of researchers?
I mean, I guess like, I think the bitter lesson is real. So, but I think it's okay, right? It's okay to have intermediate complexity to like solve a problem in the interim. Like, I don't know if the lessons I learned are relevant, like in, like once models exceed our own capabilities as say like AI researchers, I don't know what, like, you know what I mean? I don't know what.
So there's like a future where AI will do research better than human.
Yeah, for sure, right? I don't know exactly when, but like.
And how, in that world, how we as humans should be involved in the research?
Maybe like we can be like like what are our preferences? Maybe that's the best signal we can provide. I think in the interim, maybe physical intelligence.
Maybe we'll provide a reward.
But yeah, exactly. Maybe we can be reward labelers or something like that. But I guess with like, say, constitutional AI, you can use humans to generate principles and then use models to generate reward from that. But
Yeah. I think that's a super interesting direction. Maybe in the future we'll all be providing the guidance and the gallery for AI. Cool. Really appreciate you sharing all your journey, amazing journey, and how you create AlphaChip and like fulfill your childhood passion and work on the Gemini. And what would be your recommendations of like any resources or books that you would recommend to our audience?
I mean, I guess it depends like what their goals are or like how much background they have. I thought like Andrew Ng's like deeplearning.ai lectures are just really good personally. I think there's like OpenAI has some like spinning up on RL like materials for learning about reinforcement learning, which seems like people are more and more interested in. I remember when I was like learning about spinning up on RL, I watched David Silver's lectures. Like, you know, after I saw like the AlphaGo defeat Lee Sedol, I was like, okay, I need to learn more, right?
Yeah. Those are great. Yeah. We will leave the links of the resources below the video so our audiences, our listeners can also watch that.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much, Anna. Really awesome to chat with you. Such a fantastic reunion. We'd love to also catch up more in the future.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the full interview. If you got value from this conversation, please like, drop a comment, and subscribe to Founder Coho. We've got more founder insights and deep dive interviews coming your way, so don't miss them. See you in the next one.